the brilliance of Kontátus Emperor Constantine's horse that brought the light of Christ to the empire. Long, long ago, in the splendor of the Roman Empire, there lived a horse named Kontátus. He was no ordinary horse. His coat shone like gold in the sun, his mane wavy, and his eyes seemed to understand the human soul. Kontátus lived in the stables of Emperor Constantine the Great, the man who changed the destiny of Christianity and the world. It was the 4th century AD, around the year 312. Rome was still the heart of the greatest empire on earth. Constantine was preparing for a decisive battle, the famous Battle of the Milvian Bridge, which would take place on October 28, 312. It was at this time that Kontátus became the emperor's favorite horse. But what made this horse so special? Several years later, now emperor, Constantine had received from his mother Helena a nail used in the crucifixion of Jesus Christ, and he had it incorporated into the bridle of his horse Kontátus. Kontátus's bridle, the metal pieces used to guide him, contained fragments of the nails that crucified Jesus Christ. Yes, those same nails that had fastened Jesus' hands and feet to the cross almost 300 years earlier in Jerusalem. The one who had brought these sacred objects was Saint Helena, Constantine's mother. She was a very pious woman and curious about the mysteries of the Christian faith. As an old woman, around the year 326 AD, she traveled to the Holy Land. In Jerusalem, Helena ordered the excavation of the hill where Jesus had been crucified and, according to ancient writings, found the true cross, the crown of thorns, and the nails of the crucifixion. When she returned to Rome, Helen brought the objects back as precious relics. Ancient historians, such as Sozomen and Socrates Scholasticus, say that she gave one of the nails to her son Constantine, and the emperor ordered it to be melted down and placed in the bridle of his warhorse. So that divine power would protect him in battle, and that horse was none other than Kontátus. From that day on, everyone in the emperor's stable looked at him with respect. The mares and other horses affectionately called him Knight of Light, believing he shone under divine blessing. The old Roman groom, Marcus Aelius, used to say, Kontátus is not just a horse. He is the guardian of something sacred. Kontátus, though a horse, seemed to understand everything. When the emperor approached, he would neigh softly, lower his head, and gaze tenderly. Constantine caressed him and said, You are my friend and my shield. Kontátus, at the Battle of the Milvian Bridge in 312, Constantine rode Kontátus. The enemy army was powerful, commanded by Maxentius, who also wanted to be emperor. But the night before, Constantine had a mysterious dream. He saw a bright cross in the sky and heard a voice saying, In hoc signo vinces, with this sign you will conquer. Constantine then ordered the symbol of the cross painted on his soldiers' shields. And on the day of the battle, as they crossed the Tiber River, Kontátus neighed loudly and powerfully, as if announcing victory. And so it was, Constantine won the battle and entered Rome triumphant. He became the first Christian Roman emperor and, shortly thereafter, issued the famous Edict of Milan in 313 AD, which granted freedom of worship to Christians throughout the empire. Kontátus accompanied the emperor on many other campaigns and victories. He traveled with him to the new capital of the empire, Constantinople, modern-day Istanbul, Turkey, which was founded in 330 AD. Wherever he went, Kontátus was greeted by soldiers and children. They said he brought luck and peace in the imperial stables. The other horses dreamed of being like him. There was the mare Aurinia, swift as the wind, who admired his courage, and the colt Marcellus, who always asked to hear stories of the battles. At night, Kontátus would tell how the emperor, inspired by God, led the army under the symbol of the cross. It is not strength that conquers, he said, but faith and justice. Time passed, and Kontátus grew old. Constantine, who ruled until 337 AD, continued to love him as much as on the first day. In his later years, when the emperor was already ill, he ordered the horse to be treated as a treasure. The bridle with the sacred nail was never removed. Here rests the horse Kontátus, who carried the faith of Rome and the heart of Constantine. After Constantine's death, many centuries passed, and stories about Kontátus spread among monks and travelers. Some said that on nights with a full moon, they could hear the sound of hooves coming from the sky, the trot of Kontátus, the emperor's horse, guarding the faith of the world. Today, in churches and ancient books, there are still records of Saint Helena's deeds and the nails of the crucifixion. One of them, they say, still rests within the bridle of Constantine's horse, a symbol of the union between courage and faith. And thus ends the story of Kontátus, the horse who, with his pure heart and firm step, helped change the history of humanity. It seems that it was not Emperor Constantine who chose Kontátus, but Kontátus who chose Emperor Constantine. To this day, numerous historians and history books discuss sacred objects of the Christian faith, and the horse that served the emperor, which had fragments of the nail that crucified Jesus Christ, is always mentioned. Because sometimes even the smallest beings, even a gentle horse, can carry within them the power of a miracle. If you enjoy this content, please like, comment, share, and subscribe to our channel. And thank you very much.